Okay, I thought we'd start. This is usually a nice thing to do, so let's see if it works tonight. We're going to take 2 minutes to actually breathe together. So we come into community through our breath. So please find a comfortable way to sit. And I'm going to suggest that you try not to sit on your tailbone. So if you need to move a little further in front of your chair, get off your tailbone, that would be a good idea. It just interferes with sitting on your spinal cord when you sit on your tailbone. And just keeping your legs flat on the floor if you can. And you can leave your eyes open or just let them drift closed. And the only thing I want you to do, mostly when we talk about breathing, people immediately go to, am I breathing correctly? So I don't want anybody to do that. I want you just to watch the movement of breath. And watch how your body moves with breath as it comes in, as it goes out. And just notice whatever it is you notice. Generally speaking, you feel more light when you breathe in, you're more buoyant. And when you breathe out, that buoyancy is leaving and you get a little heavier and you get a little more connected to your seat. So I'm going to go quiet now and let you do this for 2 minutes. And use your nose for breathing, not your mouth. When you feel ready, just let your eyes begin to drift open, taking a little light. Thank you. Now we're one. So I'm Robert Litman from the Breathable Body. This is Charlie Krimmert from the Vashon Fire Rescue department. So we'll be presenting together tonight. I'll talk for the first part of the evening and have some slides up here. And Charles will come in and talk to you about this portion about the risks on the island and what you can do to protect yourself and home from fire. Right?
Yes, sir.
Good. So once again, welcome. So I'm going to be doing a lot of this. And that means because there's a man in the control booth operating the slides. So that's what I'm pointing. Ready, Dennis? Hit it. So this was Vashon last August 21st. This is actually the Seattle last 21st. So that's what got me really frightened. I noticed that when I was walking down the street, I actually felt really deeply fearful in my animal body. It's like, where do I go? Where do I run? How do I get out of this? What will I do? I didn't prepare for this. And so I thought, okay, well, and I also feel like having been a breathing teacher and working with a lot of people with asthma and COPD and emphysema and anxiety, which is what I was feeling at the time, I have some skill that I can share, which will maybe help me move some of this fear that I'm having. And also, I have a lot of compassion for people who come to my office who can't breathe, and I know this makes it really difficult for people to breathe. How many of you last year had a difficult time breathing? Yeah, so if you want to look around, it's like 1/3 of the room had a difficult So what's really scary to me on a more global level is this is Shanghai. And this is Shanghai almost 365 days a year. Next one, Dennis. And that's Delhi, or I got them backwards. That's Shanghai. The other is Delhi. And Delhi is generally the dirtiest city on the planet, except for smaller cities around it. They don't report on the smaller ones. So last year on August 21st, when we saw that picture up there, Vancouver, Portland, and Seattle were the 3 dirtiest cities in the world last year. So, yes, deserves a group. So this is what the night's going to look like. We're going to talk about the dangers of smoke to your lungs and your health. I'm going to teach you how to track the air if you're interested in following it on a day-to-day basis. We're going to look at how to care for your cardiovascular and respiratory system, and what masks and filters to use, and the risks of fire and risk in Washington, and how to make your own defensible. So that's the agenda for the evening. All right, next then. So, I'm all about climate change for sure, but it just occurred to me when I think about climate, I think about something out there. It's the climate, and it's easy for me to ignore. But when I think about it's my atmosphere that's actually changing, that's causing the climate to change, it becomes a lot more personal. I need that atmosphere. So it's raining, so it maybe won't tornadoes and I can get away. But if the air's not clean, I can't breathe. So it's a much more personal issue for me to call it atmospheric change. And that's what it actually is. Our atmosphere is changing, the consistency of it is changing. And who are most at risk? Well, did you change already? Go back one, Dennis. So the elderly, which we all are, a lot of us are here in the room, are more susceptible because our immune systems are weakening as we get older, and our lungs and our hearts are more vulnerable. If you have cardiovascular or lung disease, then you are really at risk. We'll see a slide later that shows you would think that for the premature deaths that come from smoke inhalation, like 3.5 million worldwide people who die prematurely from smoke, my assumption was right away, well, it's got to be in their lungs. 14% are from lung disease, 14% are from lung cancer, 72% are from heart attacks from smoke. So even though you think, well, I don't have a respiratory disease, in 48 hours in the studies they've done in Shanghai, they did a study with students, one group of students purifiers and the other students not. In 48 hours, with the students that didn't have air purifiers, their hearts were already starting to become inflamed, as were their blood vessels. It just took 48 hours to breathe in that air. Pretty scary. So, next slide. So, pregnant women are susceptible, and are our children, especially children under the ages of 18, because their lungs are still developing. Next. Low-income housing, don't have availability to perhaps buy filters and buy masks. And then, of course, the homeless who are on the street have no opportunity for anything, any protection at all, unless they are given masks in some way. So, next. And pets. So a lot of my information came from looking about what they are doing in Delhi and Shanghai. And this is what they're doing. They are now developing masks for the pets, because pets are more susceptible than humans, because they're closer to the ground where all the debris is landing. And they have a lot of fur, and then they come back in the house and they shake it off, and then it's back in the house again, and so then they move again. So they're very susceptible to premature health issues from pollution. Next. So here's what's in our air these days. Lead, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, aerosol liquids, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, microplastics, majorly coming to be a very difficult thing for us. They know it's in the air everywhere. Above, in Denver, high up on the mountains above the Rockies, high up above the Pyrenees. It's all they test the air. It's all filled with microplastics now. So it's not just in the ocean, it's now in our air as well. Petrochemicals, dust, mold spores, involve organic compounds and certain smoke, and formaldehydes. And formaldehydes are very difficult, but when buildings are burning, that's what comes out of them. Next. And so just so you know, these were surprising to me, so I didn't think about these things, but these are things we have in our home. Paint, varnishes, you can see them. The ones that surprised me were the cosmetics and the cleaning products, and especially the cosmetics. Cosmetics have a lot of plastics in them, so you need to read your labels on scrubs and things like that to see if they have plastic. They're trying to eliminate them now, but a lot of them have plastics in them, so these are the things that are in our air, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 1,000,000 years ago, these were not the items that were in our air. I'll tell you a little story that I find particularly interesting. 3 billion years ago, it's a long time, I don't think anybody was around at that time, but 3 billion years ago, our atmosphere was mostly sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide. And then the only thing that was alive on the planet were single-cell bacteria, which were called anaerobic bacteria. And those anaerobic bacteria were able to breathe carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide, except that their byproduct of breathing those things was oxygen. So they polluted the planet with oxygen. Oxygen was a major pollutant to the anaerobic. I don't think they had one of these seminars for the anaerobic bacteria. So what happened was they were dying off. 98% of what was alive on the planet at that time died off. 2%, two earlier bacteria said, we got to figure this out because we're going to all die. So they figured out how to metabolize oxygen and byproduct carbon dioxide instead. And guess where those little bacteria are today? They're inside of your cell. It's called mitochondria. And they take that oxygen that you breathe in and they convert it to energy so that your body can run on its own. And their byproduct is carbon dioxide, which regulates the distribution of oxygen throughout our whole body. So they're doing us a big favor. So you're carrying around inside of you a 3 billion year old evolutionary process inside of you. It's what's keeping you alive. So if we're not careful, we're going back to the way it was. And those anaerobic bacteria are sitting at the bottom of the ocean around the volcanic jets, just waiting for the chance to come back. So we need to be really careful with our atmosphere. All right, Dennis, thank you. So how it's measured in particulate matter. Now, there's a lot, you can go on the internet, there's a lot of reading about what's going on in the air, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. But it's called particulate matter, and it's measured in microns, 2.5 or less, or up to 10. And so you can see a human hair here is actually 50 to 70 microns. But the particle matter that we're breathing in is 2.5 or less generally. So it's very small, can't see it. And that's how they measure it. So when they do those ratings, what air quality is like, they're measuring the particulate matter and how much of it is in the air at a given time. So I wanted to show this. This is a little screenshot from my phone. This is an app called Air Visual. You can get it on your phone, and you can just go on the internet as well and just track the government on airnow.gov. And you can look at any city that you want to see if you're traveling. You want to see what the air is like in that city. Just go on there and you'll find out whether it's what you have to do to get there. And the lower part, where the green is, that's healthy. The other part is red, and where it's not so healthy. And so I've been tracking Vashon air. And so most days, we're pretty lucky here. It's clean most days. But what surprised me was that between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m. on certain days, when the air is not moving really quickly, it's in the yellow, early in the morning when most people go out and exercise. And I looked around and figured out what is doing that. And that has a lot to do with the trucks that are coming through in the morning to deliver the food and to supply the island with what they need. And by 8 o'clock, it's usually clean. But it is occasionally dirty from 5 to 8. So you have to be careful in the morning. Those who are really sensitive in their nervous systems have to be really careful in their respiratory systems. So that's available. It's free in the App Store for both Android and iPhone. Very useful to track. Next. So I handed that out to you, and so you'll have that to see. So if you see the colors, you know what the colors are. Last August, we were at 192, which was red. We were 8 points away from going maroon, which was very unhealthy for everyone. So, yeah, it's a nervous story. Next, Dennis. And so on this particular site on Air Quality Index, what they do over a 12-hour period is it's constantly moving minute by minute by minute to show you how the air quality is changing. So this is what the air quality was. And that time you saw the picture in the morning, it was red everywhere. And what was interesting about it, when it started off, it wasn't so red, but it came up from the south. We were all thinking that the air was coming from Canada, the smoky air was coming from Canada. But actually, when you see the map, you see it turn red from the south and the southeast. So the air quality changed from the south. So it was like this from August 13th to August 20th, August 30th. Some days were better than others, but many days were like this. Okay, next. And so this is what it's like today. A couple of fires in the middle of the state right now, but basically we're really clean all around us right now. And just so you know, I'm tracking the air quality in here, and right now we're at 8, and the carbon dioxide levels are 600. Anything over 1,000 starts to become dangerous, but I'm tracking the air to stay healthy in the room. Okay, next. And so here was a very disturbing statistic that the national parks did a study, and 85% of the national parks have air that's hazardous for your health. So here you would think you're going away, get some fresh air, but if you're sensitive in your airways, in your heart, you need to know it's not necessarily so clean up. And what is this? It's because of all the mining around the national parks, where they can't get into mine, and all the trucks and everything else that go there, it's the mining mostly. And dust. Next. And so this is the statistic I said earlier, that 72% of the people who die prematurely are dying from heart attacks and strokes. Next. And so what happens here is, which is interesting, and this is what it shows everywhere. The particulate matter, when it gets really small, goes into your lungs. And what they show here is somebody breathing through their nose and the mouth. So here's what I have to say to you. You breathe through your mouth as often as you eat through your nose. If you want to keep the particulate matter out of your lungs, do not open your mouth. And that means pacing all of your daily activities so that you actually can keep pace with what your nose is able to do. If you find yourself moving so quickly that you have to open your mouth to get there, it's like, slow down. So I'll say it again. You breathe through your mouth as often as you eat through your nose. You got that? Yeah. Nobody's eating through the nose in here, right? Next. So the nose acts as a filter, which is the interesting thing. So that most of the particulate matter, when there's no smoke in the air, the smallest it gets is 0.5, all the way up to 10. The nose will filter everything from 0.5 and above. It'll go in your airways, and some of it will, the smaller ones will go in the back of your throat to be swallowed or to be coughed up. The little bigger ones will be in the nostrils in the front. But smoke is 0.3. So the nose will not filter smoke. That's where masks and filters start to come in. You've got to have some supplementary ability to filter when the smoke is in the air. The nose will not take care of it, but it would be worse if you opened your mouth. Okay? So, the first thing you'll notice is that you're really getting disturbed by your heart or your lung is you'll feel tired. They supply our power. Both our heart and our lungs are our power sources. When you feel tired, you've got some symptoms going on. Next. And so here are some of the symptoms. Watery eyes, coughing and sneezing, phlegm and mucus in your airways, that's what the picture is on the left. And wheezing. Now, wheezing actually can be a good thing. Wheezing is an attempt by your body to get things out, just like coughing is. It also can feel scary if you're an asthmatic, because you know the airways are closing down and you're wheezing, but it is a forceful thing to push the particulate matter out of the airways. There's a book called Smash Asthma where he turns that whole idea about wheezing on its, what would I say, not on its backside, but on its head. Thank you. That goes. Right. And you get sinusitis, you're in your airways feel inflamed, headache. Next. Unfortunately, high blood pressure, heart attack, chest pain, and stroke. Serious symptoms. Next. Asthma and irritated throat. Okay, next. And shortness of breath. Next. So, I'm going to stop here for a minute with the slides and just talk about breathing a bit. So when we talk about masks later, and people need to be wearing masks, generally speaking, one of the things that's difficult about masks is that they're difficult to breathe through. So you're drawing a lot of air, so you have to be really careful. And you have to slow yourself way down in your activity level so that you're not trying to work so hard to keep up with an activity level and then stress your heart by breathing with so much effort. So the idea here is to slow your breathing down. I'm going to take a look here for a minute and just want to make sure I cover all these things. So I said to you, don't breathe through your nose. Make your activity level, and you don't breathe through your mouth. Excuse me, thank you. I know, I was just so afraid I was going to say that. So here's one thing you can do. It's really a good idea to, you have a habit. Some of us have a habit of breathing through our mouths at certain times. So to begin to break those habits, you want to make a list. You get a piece of paper, number 1 through 10, and make a list, and on the top say, when I noticed I used my mouth for breathing. And you start to make a list of when that is. So that when you go to do that activity, you go, aha, this is where I normally use my mouth for breathing. This time, I'm not going to do that. Two of the places that I always tell a story about is I don't know why this was, but every time I parked my car and started to get out of the car, I mouthed. Why I did that, I have no idea. So I thought, okay, no, I don't do that anymore. The other was the mailbox. Anybody have a fear of the mailbox? This is not uncommon. I've had other people say that. It's like I go to the door, I go in the mailbox, I know my world is going to end. There's going to be something in that mailbox that's going to destroy my life. This speaks more about controlling it than what I know it is. So now, this was happening in Tucson when I lived there. I open the door, go into the mailbox. No, nothing in the mailbox today. I'm safe for another day. Right? Okay. So let's do a little more breathing. Put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. And just notice which hand moves first. So obviously, I think most of you have heard this enough times, we want the lower hand to move first. If you're using the upper hand, if the upper hand is moving first, then you're chest breathing, and it's not the most efficient way to breathe. There's more blood transferring oxygen down here, and less up here. And also, this is a smaller space than this down here. And so this is where we breathe when we're anxious. So one of the ways to help us move down here is just when you exhale, just feel yourself get really heavy on the chin. And then when you breathe in, breathe from that heaviness on the chin. Breathe from being way down in yourself, and then open up from low down. Does that help for those who are breathing in your chest? That's one way to deal with it. And just by other way is just having that hand there and imagining, just letting, there is no air down here, it's just a movement. The diaphragm comes down and the organs are getting out of the way so the diaphragm can move. That's why we don't want it up here, because the diaphragm is the major moving, breathing muscle. And so just imagine you're filling your hand with breath. And that's a way to stay. Okay, so we practiced earlier. How did that work for you to watch the movement of breath as you were sitting at the beginning? Did that help you to slow down your breathing? So that's a simple thing to do. So when the smoke is out there and you have to be inside, don't watch television. Television makes you breathe faster, believe it or not. Because whether it's a scary show or not, but the images move so fast. And so the nervous system is trying to track those images and the breathing will follow that. Breathing is always doing what you want it to do. It's just sometimes we don't want it to do or have an habitual habit to do it. All right, so don't slouch, because that closes down the diaphragm. And two more pieces. So this is a little trick. So we want to take a look while we're breathing in and out, how the air moves through our nose, and how much we open for the air. Do we really feel our lungs open to receive the air? We want to be receptive to our own breath. So just notice for a moment, when you breathe in, does it feel like you're actually pulling the air into your nose? Just notice it. How many of you are doing that? Feel like you're actually pulling it right into your nose. So here's a little trick. There's a syllable. Let's all say this syllable. Sa. Say it out loud. Sa. All right. Now think that syllable while you breathe in and see what happens in your chest. See if it isn't easier to breathe in. As you think the sa, because you're actually saying it in your head. Can you feel a difference in doing that? What's happening? What? Say.
More open.
More open, right? And just so if you breathe full air through your nose, just put your hand on your chest. Does your chest expand or is it tight when you pull in real like that? Kind of tightens, doesn't it, a little bit? So that's kind of antithetical to what you want. You're trying to bring air into a space and you're making the space smaller. So when you say sa, you can feel, you have your hand there. You can feel your lung, you can feel your chest opening up for the air. Yeah? So what's happening is, what's going on there is breathing is going out of your hands by you breathing in through your nose. And when you think sa, you can actually feel like the air is being pulled through your nose from behind. And what actually is taking place there is the lungs are actually bringing the air in for you. You're no longer having to put the effort in. And so the lungs know how much air they need, and they know how to open for the air. When you breathe out, you want to say the word syllable ha, H-A. To breathe in with the syllable sa, thinking it, and breathe out with the syllable ha. Anybody finding that easier to breathe that way? A head shakes back there? So just remember that. By the way, this particular point, I ask people to sign in out there, because if you sign in and give me your email address, I will not put your name on my email if you say no next to your name. But I made a PDF of the PowerPoint, and I will mail you this entire slideshow, so you'll have all the information again to have it. And actually, instead of some of these pictures, I actually have words, so the instructions will be there. So let's try two more things. I said two before, but I have two more. So as you're breathing through your nose, just notice your nervous system. Just notice whether you're soothing or you're anxious right now, and score that. Score anxiety from a low number from 1 to 10, and soothe from the high number. And then open it. This is a special case. The air is clean here, so we can do this. Just open your mouth and breathe in and out through your mouth for a breath or two. And see what happens to your nervous system and to the effort in breathing and where it goes. Does it go here or does it stay down? So a breath or two and then go back to nose breathing and see what happens there. So did anybody feel that nervous system get a little activated and a little charged up? Sure. As if a grizzly bear came in behind me, the first breath you would take would, and your whole nervous system would be on alert. You'd be on fight or flight. You'd be ready to run out of the room. It's the same thing when we breathe through our mouth at any time during the day. It activates our nervous system into feeling threatened. So it's another reason to keep your mouth closed, because you don't, especially when the smoke is here, you don't want to exacerbate what probably is going on inside already a bit fearful. So be really careful to keep yourself in a calm way. Breathe through your mouth as often as you eat through your nose. So being quiet, keeping your mouth closed, and saying true at night. Okay. Here's a nose clearing exercise in case your nose gets stuck. You take a breath in through your nose. You take a breath out through your nose. You pinch your nose. And you bob your head 6 to 10 times, relatively vigorously if you can. 6 to 10. Then you can stop when you feel like you're out of air. And then you breathe gently back as if you're smelling a rose. And you can repeat that until the mucus goes away. What's happening is the body's producing carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide is a vaso and bronchial dilator, opening up the airways back open. If your neck bothers you, you can breathe in and breathe out. Just stop your feet around. It'll do the same. Anybody feel a difference who tried it? You're a yes down here. I'll take one yes from me. All right, let's see the next slide, Dennis. All right, here's some things to do when the smoke arrives. Close your windows. Okay? It's going to be difficult because it's going to be hot, right? So, if you go outside and spend time outside, when you come back in, take a shower. Get it off of you. Don't want to carry it around in the house, put it in your bed, put it on your couches. Next sentence. You want to create a clean room, if you can afford to. We'll talk about that in a minute. A clean room where you know that air is clean in there. You've got filters running, the windows closed, you've got the windows sealed, you've got the doors sealed at the bottom on both sides if you're not in there, or when you are in there, at least on the inside. So you're keeping one room absolutely clean, and hopefully you've got some way to ventilate it with a fan or an air conditioner if you can. If not, you may have to go to the library or hang out in Thriftway and talk to everybody in Thriftway. Those are the two places that you can pretty much guarantee that it'll be cooler and have air conditioning. If you can't afford air conditioning, then don't have it. Next. So that's stay indoors. Reduce your activity level. Just be quiet. Nothing to do right then. Smoke will go away eventually. And drink plenty of water. Keep yourself well hydrated so the body's not absorbing. It feels pretty plump until it limits the absorption. Runs through the skin. Next. Have an air purifier, if you can afford one. And wear a mask if you go outside. You must wear a mask if you go outside. We'll talk about masks a little later. Next. Don't smoke, especially in the house. And don't vacuum. You'd be surprised because vacuuming is going to start all of that particulate matter that did get into your house. It's going to stir it back up. If you have a vacuum with a HEPA filter, that's my New York accent to speak through, with a HEPA filter, then you can vacuum. But if you don't have a HEPA filter on your vacuum, don't vacuum. And keep plenty of food in the house that you don't have to cook. And if you're in the car, use your air conditioner and recycle. And here's something really, I don't understand it. We'll talk about masks a little later, and they're all rated by NIOSH, National Institute for Science will be up there. They rate the masks. There are no children's masks that are rated for health. So you have to find a mask that'll fit them, an adult mask, a small size that'll fit them, or buy them a mask, but there's no guarantee that they're filtered in the way it's supposed to be. Why they don't make masks for children and certify them, I don't know. There are no certified masks for children. Next. No grilling outside, and no cooking inside. So I have this monitor over here. I went, and there are three things that happened. I got the monitor, and I made some cinnamon rolls one day. And cinnamon kind of gets smoky. I opened the oven. The monitor in the other room jumped to 400 and indicated it was time for me to put on a gas mask. Okay, open the windows. It went down. So then, on the next day, I was cooking a baking cake last night, and windows were open, and I wanted to see what happened. It went up to something like 69 or 70, which is in the yellow range. So any little bit of cooking will change the air quality. For most of us, it doesn't matter. But if you have any lung or heart disease or any sensitive airways that you know from other times, it's going to affect you. And it's not so bad if you're at the windows open, but if the smoke's coming from outside, you don't want to make more smoke inside, right? Unless you've got a good filter. Yeah?
Microwave. What about microwave?
Microwaving is okay, as long as it doesn't smoke. Thank you. Yeah, don't put any metal in your microwave. Okay, next. And so here's something that happened to me. I moved from New York to Tucson, Arizona. So and I drove from New York to Tucson, Arizona, with a friend of mine. What I noticed, as we were blowing our nose all the way across the country, it got cleaner. It was really black when we left New York. It was really clean by the time we got to Arizona. So if we got smoke in the air, a nasal wash would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Might as well get it clean for the next day, right? Instead of having it be dirty. So, and you don't have to use it any, there's one they have called that, something that, and that's a squeeze bottle. Or you can just, yeah. The thing about using a neti pot and using a spray is you really need to use distilled water or sterilize your water. Because there have been incidences where people have gotten the bacteria from water into their sinuses. So you have to be really careful about the water you use. All right, next. All right, so here's things to do. If you feel breathless, call 911. Charles is right over there, he's ready for your call. And the other thing that you have in your packet some information on NERA, which is Neighborhood Organization Resources. It's a really good idea to know who's in your neighborhood, who actually is suffering from the possibility of bad air, who has resources like an air filter or an air conditioner that you can invite somebody into your home, help them breathe for a couple of days if necessary. There are many things you can do for each other, cook for the other one, or prepare meals that are not cooking. So knowing who is in your neighborhood and how to work around with the smoke is a really good idea, because not everybody can afford to get everything that's needed for keeping yourself healthy. All right, hold on, go back, please. Yeah, okay, next. So it's interesting. I have a lot of friends who live in California, who live in other places. One friend said, "Let me send you my list." And these were good on the list. So one of them was make sure your flue is closed on your fireplace and actually close up the chimney. If you're really worried about Hello? Really worried about the air coming in through, as well as other vents. Seal windows, close up the garage vents, don't use the stove vent, keep purifiers away from doors and windows so that they don't suck in the air. Leave your air purifier on high, have air purifier in every room, have a safe room, and keep the shades down, keep the house cool if you have shades or curtains. So that's a good list. That's an additional list. We were walking home to our apartment, and I noticed that we have gas fireplaces, and every house has one of those on the roof, and they're totally open. So smoke's going to come in there. And in most cases, it's not going to be so bad for just a couple of days, but if it goes on, we don't want any smoke in the house. Next. And so I put this up because I don't want you to really read it, but the American Lung Association has a COPD checklist. So you can go online and download that checklist, and you can track your quality of air and your COPD by noticing what's going on with the lips. I think the battery is running out of this device. Okay, next. All right, so I'm going to stop right now, and Charles is going to put it in. We're going to go to monitors and masks after he's done. A different voice to listen to other than mine. Are there any questions before I go on? Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, we were talking about air purifiers, and I've heard that some people think that ionizers are air purifiers. Do you have something to say? I've heard that that's unsafe to run an ionizer in the house.
If it produces ozone, it's unsafe. And some of those ionizers. The only thing that really is useful for you in this, and we'll go through that, are HEPA filters and charcoal filters. Those are the two things that will work. HEPA filters will do everything down to 0.5 microns, and charcoal will take care of the smoke and the odors and the gases. If you don't have the charcoal, it won't filter the gases or the odors. Okay? I hope the mic doesn't run out of you.
I don't know if I need that. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm going to correct you on two things, two safety notes here.
All right.
If you're going to cover the chimney, I say no, don't cover the chimney. Because when you fire it up in the fall, you're going to forget you sealed it. So if you want to cover the chimney, close the flue and seal in the fireplace properly. That way you have to open it to use it. You know it's sealed. The other thing I want to suggest is, great idea closing all the vents on the house, but not all those vents are intake air. Many of them are pushing out exhaust from the furnace or the hot water heater and stuff. So make sure you know what you're covering. You don't want to be sealing that bad air into the house.
Thank you.
No, thank you. So, hard act to follow. And I paid some attention. Didn't pay some because when I'm in smoke environments, they make me wear a big bottle of air and I put a mask over my whole face. And I breathe through my mouth heavy. So, my focus today is to talk about wildland fires. And for the unfortunate events in California last year, we're very sensitized to how fast a fire can move and how much damage a fire can do. And we're seeing more and more press on that and what's happening in the state. So I'll give you some information and then give you some really good news. And I apologize, I'm learning this speech, so correct me if you see errors, but I have to read notes. The Camp Fire in California was a massive fire. It was weather-driven. To give you some sense of scale, within first 12 hours of that fire, Vashon would have been consumed. So it's a scale beyond anything we can comprehend here. We have many advantages on Vashon, they did not. And I'll go into those in a minute. 2018 was a very difficult year for the state. We set a record number of wildland fires. We had over 1,700 wildland fires. We lost about 439,000 acres. That's 18 times the size of Vashon. And it cost the state $174 million to fight. The largest fire, now some of the good news is the largest fire was 75,000 acres. And I'm going to talk about this later. One of the important things about dealing with wildland fire, certainly on Vashon, is finding it, identifying it, and getting to it as quickly as possible. Right now, for all of these large and dramatic numbers, 97% of the wildland fires in the state are knocked down very, very quickly in small losses of acreage. It's the 3% that are taking over and making these large numbers. So firefighters are very effective in getting there in a timely manner, or if they can get there in a timely manner, they are very effective. So the key thing for you as a public that you can contribute to that effort is, don't assume someone else called it in. If you see smoke, you smell smoke, you're concerned, we just assume come and find nothing and go home, then get there and it's a full-blown working fire. Okay, so that's step one. If you see it, suspect it, or smell it, call us. We'll go and look. Of all these fires I just mentioned, about 84% are caused by humans. The other 16% are attributed to lightning. Of the human-caused fires, the number one suspect is unextinguished or lost control of campfire. The second most likely suspect will be construction equipment or construction efforts that cause a spark. A lot of times you hear about, or cars on the road, a lot of times you hear about that. And the third most likely suspect, and this is a concern for us, is debris burning. You know, you burn your, whatever you burn. A lot of times you burn stuff you're not supposed to burn. You're supposed to only burn natural vegetation, and you go away. Or you burn it unattended because it's a small fire. And those things start running. A small fire can get big quickly. Let me see. We hear a lot in the news about how the fires are moving more and more west in the state. That is true. Last year, though, there was only one significant fire west of the west slopes of the Cascades, or west of Vashon. That was the Maple Fire in the Kitsap Valley. Now, Kitsap Peninsula had a fire just this last week. I think it was 20 acres, so it can happen. And a lot of news on it, and a lot of smoke here. But as Robert said, the smoke was coming up from the south, or coming down from Canada. But it can come from the east. When it's coming from the east, that wind is not to our advantage. That's a drier wind, and it makes us a little bit more at risk. But right now, we're not so threatened by the fires. They are working their way west. The Department of Natural Resources actually this year is commissioned to engage 2 new helicopters west of the Cascades for their concerns. We can talk about those resources. They're not a very viable resource for us, but they are a resource. And unfortunately, 2019 is already, the fire season has an aggressive start. We've had multiple fires already. I think we're already up to 50 by April. So it's happening. Very dry climate. We have a lot of dry underbrush, and then we had some wet, so we allowed all the dry underbrush is covered by good fuels that are ready to ignite again. So we have to be cautious. We have to be very, very cautious. So going to the island, and some of the advantages we have on the island. The first thing is we're pretty wet. We hear about the drought in Washington, and we're surrounded by a lot of drought-stricken areas. But if you look at the maps, we're not on it. We're pretty moist, so we have a good wetness in the ground cover and in our plants. The other aspect of that is, it's a positive and a negative. We're surrounded by a moat. We got a lot of water around us. That helps keep us cooler, it keeps the relative humidity high. The relative humidity is very important to us. Generally, if we have a fire burning in the day, when the relative humidity drops the most, as the evening cools and that moisture comes off the sound, the relative humidity can come up sufficiently enough that it'll put the fire out for us. We're just going to go knock down the edges. So that's a huge advantage. The disadvantage of the moat is if I need help, they have to come across the moat. When we're forecasting fire help at an environment that we say we can't handle, I have to forecast if I need that help in an hour, because they won't be here for at least an hour. So there's a mixed blessing of that. The other issues we have are more district-oriented now. So there's the island's advantages. The fire district, we're a small component. On any one day, I assume I have a minimum of 5 working firefighters on staff. I will complement that with any volunteers that choose to work. My volunteer corps is about 40. They're not all firefighters. They're critical to the operation. Many of them are fire support, which brings the water, which is another issue we have. You all know we have a very limited fire hygiene system. Some of you may live by it, some of you may not. So that means to fight the fire, we have to bring water with us. That's a very important aspect of how we operate here. So we talk about limited staff. Again, why limited staff can work functionally very quickly is if we know about the fire. So again, that's where you guys are our biggest asset. You guys report the fire. That's the biggest hurdle is over. Putting the fire out is no big deal, but we find you get there. So your guys' help is appreciated. Oh, I went past the mark. Let me talk about the resources we have a little bit. King County is recognizing as a whole that we have this wildland danger encroaching on us. And many of the surrounding districts are working to engage more training and more apparatus specifically designed for wildland. Vashon's been a little bit ahead of the curve as far as leading King County. We have right now, we have 2 what we call brush trucks or type 6 trucks. They're like big pickups. They're built to get into small confines and fight the fire. They carry limited water, but they have other things that to our advantage to fight those fires. A lot of wildland fires, you may or may not know, are not water dependent. They're just old-fashioned blunt labor cutting up what we call a fire line, giving a place for the fire to stop. So that's the critical part of that. So we have 2 brush trucks on the island. We're hoping, if the gods are with us, a good place to say that, actually. The gods are with us, we'll see a 3rd fire brush truck next year. I'm trying to make that happen. And Vashon can be very proud of itself. We have an excellent personnel in the district that are recognized by the state as exceptional. The phrase is engine boss. We have an Assistant Chief Brett Pansovich, has been deployed numerous times across the state as far as California, knows his stuff, has great skills, has earned tremendous respect, and we have him here as an everyday asset. So that's a huge advantage to us. Leading into the apparatus in my speech, the important part about the apparatus is getting it to the fire. And to get more specifically, getting into your neighborhoods or your homes. We love where we live. We chose to live here for what we have. In the fire industry, we call this urban interface, which means that the urban environment, the homes are right interweaved with the landscape and the environment we enjoy so much. And that's great, but it puts some constraints on us. Some of our trucks, I'm sure you've seen them all, some of them are pretty big. The ones that carry the water are really big. You need to tell me, can we get to your house? Now, several people I assume here, maybe live in communities that have no roads. We have roadless communities like Bates Walk, for example. And we have to deal with strategies to get water and hoses and so far in there. But most people are individual houses with long driveways we can't see from the road. So we have to make difficult decisions. So anything you can do, and actually one of my goals this summer is to build a box as big as our truck and loan it to anyone who wants to take it down and try to take it to the house. All those tree branches, all those items need to be out of the way if you want that truck to your house. I'd love to be able to turn around and get out, but I can do that after the fire. So that's a big thing. That's where you guys can really help yourselves and help us be able to. Yes, ma'am?
How wide should our driveway be to?
There's two trains of thought. Most of us have driveways where we can get one car in and one car out. So that's about 10 to 12 feet. Ideally, other industry standards would say two-way traffic, but that's kind of unrealistic. So if you can get me one traffic lane, if you would, which is traditionally 12 feet wide, half of the road is 12 feet wide, and probably, I don't know, I apologize, I'm embarrassing, I don't know what my tallest truck is, but I probably need to be at least 11 feet tall, and nothing in that, because the water trucks, again, if you recognize them, they're big square trucks, so we need to get those things in. Now, cognizant of the fact that this is difficult, many of us don't want to do that, and we love where we live, we are redesigning the whole way we approach fire trucks. The two big fire trucks you see nowadays, I call them the twins, they were both born in the same year. Where when we thought as an island we were going to be very urban, and we've chosen not to do that. We want to stay rural, we've backed up a little bit. So now, the next truck, we have this truck ordered, which hopefully you see in September, is we're trying to get an urban interface truck. It's got a smaller wheelbase, it's lower, it's shorter, so that we can get down more driveways. Right now, we carry the ladders on the top of the truck, so it's really easy to get them ripped off. We've got this ladder will be hidden in the truck, so we can bang branches off the top of the truck if we have to. Yes, sir?
How old are the twins?
The twins are, oh, you had to catch me on that. They're either 16 or 19 years old. The reason we're buying a new truck this year is because every year we have the pumps tested to make sure they meet standards. Last year, the truck out of Burton, the pump exploded, failed catastrophically and damaged the truck beyond repair. That truck was 26 years old. As an industry, just as a sidebar, as an industry standard, we'd like to replace our trucks after 15 years. Or at least keep them in service, but not make them first due, not making the truck we depend on. We've been running well past that statistic. So anyway, this new truck should satisfy some of our goals. And it carries a little bit more water than the past, and we're looking at staffing differently too. You may or may not know the industry is really experiencing a decline in volunteerism. We're very dependent on our volunteerism corps. So we're looking at trucks doing more with less people on. So we're reducing the number of seats in the truck to 4. We think if we have 4 in a truck, we're going, yes. And we're putting things like called monitors, which are the water cannons, or how do you want to call them. We're putting actually 2 on them now. One will be on the front of the truck so we can flow water as we drive. And then one will be on the back of the truck so that's where the pump operator will work and he will also be able to flow water. So a lot of those things. So we're cognizant of the fact that we want to stay in rural and we have those constraints. And we will do what we can to get to your properties. Oh, thank you. But we need you to help as well. So, Robert mentioned the Neros. If you're not a member of the Nero, I strongly encourage it. They're very informal. Yes, ma'am?
How do you have plans for fighting campfires and so forth and burning woods? How do you get there?
I have no specific plans. If we have a fire called in the Burton Woods, we'll try to figure out what, I'll lead you into this. We'll try to figure out how to get in quickest, and then that's the way we'll go in. We have things called bladder bags. When I was helping the fire service, just entering, they were called Indian tanks. Essentially, they're a backpack just built for water. So we'll fill the bladder bag with water, and it has a little pump device on it, and we walk in. If the fire is close enough to the engines are laid out with multiple lanes of hose. So the first quick connect, or the minute main, depending on how you phrase it, which is connected to the engine and ready to flow water, is 200 feet long. So if the fire is within 200 feet of where we park the truck, we can take hose. We also are carrying, and the new truck has a design for this, we're carrying what we call trash hose, which is 1-inch line for a small fire. We have a much longer reel for that we can get in. But usually, a fire off the beaten path will require us to walk in and fight it. And again, too, as I mentioned earlier, tools like shovels, Pulaskis, axes are just as critical as water to put those fires out. Because if the fire can be contained in a spot, then that's all that's going to burn. Make sense? Where you could help me with that, if you have a fire, you found a fire, try to figure out where you are. Calling me and saying, there's a fire on Vashon Highway, click. You're not going to get there very fast. If you can tell us the fire is the Vashon Highway and 248th, or whatever the street might be, that will help us find it. Or in some cases, you can use, there's a fire by the Jesus barn. Or you can use local references. In that regard, when you call dispatch, so when you call 911, you don't immediately get the fire dispatchers. You will get King County Sheriff in all likelihood. If you're on a cell phone, you might get someone in Kitsap or another county. So it's very, very important that you say, I'm on Vashon Island, or King County Vashon. And then they'll say, what's the nature of the emergency? In this case, you'd be saying fire. Or EMS for that matter. So, and then you explain to them where you are as best you can. If you don't know where you are, try to figure it out. Give them some clues. But the trick is, stay on the line. One of the things I'd like to say to everyone is, let them know you're in Vashon. Never hang up before dispatch hangs up, because they can ask you more information. When we're en route, we're getting what we call a short report. So we get whatever you gave them. And then they may continue to query you. That's what the dispatchers are trained for various scenarios, to continue to ask you information. And they may find out something very important to us, and they will tell us on the radio. We'll be in touch with dispatch over the radio. You won't hear us, but we're in communications with them. So please stay on the radio with them until they hang up. Or a lot of times you'll say to them, I can see them, they're right here. And then they might disconnect. So I was talking about, I apologize, I'm rambling, so I'm known for my verbosity, so please stop me. Neighborhoods. Neighborhoods are critical. You know, we talk all the time, what was the big saying? It takes a village. We're the village. We're it. And I tell everybody, I go to these NERO meetings regularly, the biggest, best asset the fire district has on this island, right here in front of me. A well-prepared and educated community. It's all you guys. So we appreciate the help, we appreciate the efforts, and we want to compliment that. So, yes, sir? Defensible space, okay, apparently I'm rambling, so I'll jump down to houses. This is for your homes. There's many philosophies on defensible space, and they change from distance from the house depending on what kind of slopes you live on. But generally, the standard is you want 30 feet of defensible space around your house. The more slope, the more distance you want on that slope, because fires like to run uphill. 30, so what does that mean, 30 feet? Well, ideally, it would be just all clear dirt. Who wants that? So the next step is grass, and we like grass, but we don't want it. I myself am trying to reduce my grass area because I don't mow it all weekend. So the trick is to make conscious, logical choices. For example, my wife loves vegetation next to the house. I hate it, but what are we doing? Put vegetation next to the house. That's just smart. So the trick is to think about that vegetation. Control the amount of it. Look at what conditions it's planted next to as far as eaves or other exposures, windows and such. Make it not a fast-growing plant, so it doesn't need a lot of pruning. It doesn't have a lot of dead on it. Try to keep it well watered. So we make those conscious decisions. But defensible space is 30 feet out. And then from there out, maybe another 100 feet, you start looking at the trees you have. You start uprooting the trees. A grass fire can burn under a tree. What gets it into the tree is when the limbs are hanging down onto the grass. They're very low and the fire can get up in there. So you want to start uprooting some of those trees. If you have a dead tree or two, maybe get them out. Those are just, most of the defensible space are very, very common, simple things. Yes, ma'am? Oh, that's a trick question. I would say everything's flammable. I don't know. I honestly don't know. The one bush that scares me on the island is broom. Broom is just like solidified gasoline. It's ready to burn. But I don't know your answer. If you'd like to track me down and say you promised to find out, I will do that for you.
That's great, because there's a lot of it.
Okay, Laura. 1 minute. As low as 6 feet, but the recommendation is 10. Try to get up 10 feet, so the fire can't leave up there.
What was the
Look.
question?
How high up do we want to limb the trees, the bottom of the trees up?
Oh,
6 to 10. It's just taking off the limbs off the main trunk. Well, yes, if you take out the limbs, but the next one up is hanging to the ground, you kind of defeat the purpose, yeah. But again, if they're outside the 30-foot limit, or if you have one within the 30-foot limit and it's isolated around it, that's a conscious decision. There are trees I don't want to lose on my property that I know. Then the next aspect of defense of the limit is just maintenance and operations. No point, when these fires start burning, there's a lot of ash, a lot of smoke, a lot of cinder floating everywhere. And to some extent, those are just matches in the air. So if you do a great job defending your property and clearing all this scrub and making sure that the yard debris that you've gotten is moved away, and you leave your gutters full of pine cones and needles, well, that's just waiting to start a fire. So you got to look, yes, sir?
My insurance company sent me a letter saying that it was awesome.
I was mad when they did that to me too. They do.
Please repeat the question.
I mean, his insurance company, mine as well, wrote me and said, get the moss off the roof. I don't think that's looking at it as a fire danger, because usually the moss is on the leeward side of the house and it's very moist. But I think it's more damage to the roof. So I don't think it's a fire danger. Now, it can burn, and an asphalt shingle roof will burn, but it's got to take a lot of heat to really ignite. And the trick is getting under there, or melting enough that it starts dropping hot liquids on the sides of the house. So I don't think that concern was fire related as much as damage to the roof related. Gutters need to be kept clean, no doubt about it. If you have exposed undersides to porches or vents or to crawl space, some sort of grill work there will help keep debris from floating in and igniting things. Also keep rodents out, if it doesn't occur. Yes, sir?
There's one of the things in California is the vents that are looking at on the eaves. There's things in there, and that's the issue is heavy vents,
Exactly. So some sort of containment there. Usually it's a bird screen, but you got to look at the size of that mesh. Yeah. And then there's simple things like operational. You don't want to keep your log piles. Oh, I'm sorry. Question?
Oh, just about vents, because I think you can get fireproof roof vents, is what I've heard.
Well,
Because isn't that a lot of the ways that house fires start from forest fires, is the sparks go in vents and start in your attic?
well, most of your vents are usually in the soffit, so they're usually facing down, but things can go up there. Now, I don't know, other than a vent that completely closes, I don't know how to define what a fireproof vent would be.
Yeah.
Inherently in a residency, most homes just have open flow of air. That's what it's doing, it's just letting the ventilation go above the insulation or cooling the space. In a larger commercial building, you have a smoke damper, which would sense the smoke and close automatically. So I don't know what that is. I don't doubt that it exists, but I just couldn't tell you specifically what that is. So keeping your firewood pile 30 feet from the house, your shed 30 feet from the house, those things just want to be away from the house and give you some room. It's more convenient for me to put my fire pile on my front porch. Just so I made that risk decision. Now, one of the things I did is I have a lovely tarp that came with the unit that sits over it that prevents anything from just going in there and making itself at home and starting a fire. I'll be able to see what's there. So you just have to make those decisions. Yes, ma'am?
On the topic of prevention, there's a week left before school gets out. Is
Yes.
there any chance you'll be doing any education there, reaching out to the?
I'd be happy to. I'm not interfaced with the school, so I have nothing scheduled at this time. If you're with the schools and you're saying, guess what, chief, it's coming, I'm ready. So that's about it. There's a brochure, there's 2 brochures out front. A young lady, this young lady right here, thank you very much, wrote one called VIFR Wise. And this is a brochure that kind of hits Many of the highlights I've talked about, probably more than I did. But that's good stuff. The trick is really clean. A clean, simple environment. You don't have a lot of debris, a lot of stuff that the fire can walk through your house. Yes, ma'am?
You just talk about debris piles.
Yeah.
I have 4 acres and a lot of debris piles.
So I have a couple acres too. So what I do with them is I put them where I don't find myself at risk. So for example, if you have 30-foot dependable, what we call hardened space, if you will, and then you can go a little bit further if you have that much acreage. Can you put that debris pile where it's not going to be a threat to you? Okay, so that's what I would suggest. Keep it as far away from the house and as isolated in the field as possible. Yes, ma'am?
So, not to be too unpopular, but is there any way we can stop the outdoor burning this much? Because I think they're burning right now, even though it's moderate
Well,
fire danger.
yeah, you guys are getting to read the paper before it happens. Tomorrow it's going to high, the danger's going to high. Now the flip side is, as a fire district, we don't have regulatory control over the island. That belongs to King County. So when King County bans fire burning on the island, we enforce that. But right now, we're up to the discretion of King County when they choose to do that.
It's that and the fireworks, like, we have woods behind us, even though we're in a neighborhood, and I see kids like going crazy with their fireworks, and I'm thinking, right over here?
You don't know how nervous they're being.
But, yeah.
So fireworks are a big deal. If it'll help you, I know that my board of fire commissioners are actually actively constructing a letter to file with King County asking for them to address no more fireworks in the island. They'll be thrilled. The other thrilling thing I'm going to use at a board meeting is I'm going to do this 2-minute breathing thing. Boy, that takes the tension out of everything. Okay, yes, ma'am.
You mentioned campfires as one of the issues. In the winter, I live in a mountain tree community in Southern California that has had 2 wildfires in the last 5 years. The things that saved us were the fact that there were fire breaks created. So that's one thing I'd like for us to talk about. The second thing, the community is moving towards having a siren that would ring, because in Paradise, one of the problems was it happened at night, and there was elderly people especially did not have cell phones, so they did not have any warning. And third thing, in the community that I am from, down there, though I've lived here 20 years and this is home, they are a community much like this one. They have ideas about personal rights, etc. But the fire departments are now using drones to look for fires in the woods. And this is especially important because at Gold Beach, when I moved there 20 years ago, they said, oh, the 2 fires we've had in our neighborhood started at the beach, and the fire people wait till they come up, the hill, because of all the poison oak, and they can fight it better. The next thing is that, a month ago, we had a fire in the woods next to us that was associated with a tent and an unattended fire. So I think one of our risks in this community is people camping in the woods and unattended fires, and how are we going to address it? And would heat-seeking drones be a way to do that?
Okay, Robert's giving me a cue. I got to move along. I've stolen more time than I need to, but I'll answer your question. And you're always welcome. Unless my door's closed, it's always open. You come in and visit. I'm happy. I work for you all, and I'm happy to do so. So if you have questions, concerns, you want to share stuff with me, you're more than welcome to come see me. Drones, to be overly frank, I'm happy to have fire trucks. So I'm probably not going to see drones anytime soon. If you're in Gold Beach, I will be with the gentleman I mentioned earlier, Assistant Chief Kranskovich. We will be in your area on the 30th, making a presentation to all of your Neros. Kudos to Gold Beach. They have what they call a super Nero, which is 25 Neros combined And we were presenting to their community on the 30th about the fire risks associated with them. We would like to be more aggressive on the fires, but you hit one of the key points, is there's a lot of poison oak in those hill slopes. And so, but I'm not gonna let poison oak stop me from defending properties. So we'll deal with that. I think I hit all your questions. The sirens. The sirens from a regional point of view, so that you as a neighborhood knew what that meant, kudos. The old way fire services used to dispatch themselves, especially volunteer organizations like we were up until 2000, 2001, was there would be sirens would be used to dispatch. Now it's all technology. My phone goes off, my Bugsy goes off, and everything. So we've gotten away from the sirens. So that siren would have to be understood by your neighborhoods. It wouldn't cause us, we'd be calling in and complaining about the noise too. Okay. Did I hit all your questions?
I think so. I just said all of us need to be aware of creating fire breaks, along county roads or something. If there's a woods that could bring fire where there are.
So I will finish. Thank you for your patience, Robert. I will finish with this. As you may or may not know, I've been the fire chief since 2017. In the course of this year, actually, I've come to realize that we have no plan on the island for a large conflagration and for fire breaking and for dealing with the island in mass on fire. So we're actively working. You have an incredibly small, diligent core of volunteers in what we call the Emergency Operations Center. They're working with me to develop plans to address those concerns. We are actively looking at utility bulldozer drivers and contractors on the island so we can pre-script and pre-plan their use should a fire be so large. Otherwise, we plan to get out there with our shovels and our picks and we make that fire break. If you can be diligent with protecting the surroundings of your property and look at the toxic weeds that we shouldn't have, look at the broom and control it and cut it down. I'll confirm if we need to be cutting down all the laurel. But we want to control the invasive species and the uncontrolled growth that makes a fire possible. We want to make it not a pleasant place to live, but we want to make a conscious decision about that. So I thank you for your time. I didn't get everything, but I think I got the highlights. This is out there. Grab one of those. There's another brochure next to it. I don't remember the name of it that will help you. This will also give you some web links. I just typed in wildfires in Washington, and I got an excellent informative link to the Department of Natural Resources. It will give you regular weather updates, fire outlets all around the state, and so on. Yes, sir.
The tool shed has you do that and you'll get to it.
Well, did everyone hear that? So you can get the tool shed, which is a community tool provider service that you can borrow or rent the tools. They have what's called broom wrenches. So if you wait to the wet seasons, you got to wait till the fall now. If you use this tool, I'm not familiar with it myself, it'll help you take the broom out right by the root. And then there the broom's done. Yes, sir. So whereas blackberry, you cut it, if you don't get the knuckle, what I call the knuckle out of the ground, it'll come back. But the broom, if you cut it right at the ground, it's not likely to come back with somebody else. Okay, Robert, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Nicely done. Can you hear me now? I don't want to use the mic. Can you hear me? Yes, great. But I gotta go over here. All right, so I know these are expensive, but they really are useful. This one is the one I have here. It's on that, you can get them on Amazon. The one on the left is $269. It gives you the CO2 levels in your house. It gives you the surrounding areas. Unfortunately, there's no monitor on Vashon that's monitoring right now, but if enough of us got these, you can put them outside, you can become a monitor, and then Vashon will be, the whole surrounding area in Vashon can all be monitored in different locations, and you can know what the air is like. But right now, there's not enough monitoring stations for them to put Vashon on the map. The one on the right is $149, or approximately that cost, and it does the same thing, just not outside of those CO2 levels. Yeah.
I'm assuming a broker.
Yes. You can watch it, you can be away from your home and see it on the phone. Next. So just a little bit about carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide really gathers fast. Right now, we're starting to approach a limit that really, starts to make you feel a little tired, a little dizzy. But in your bedroom at night, if you keep the windows closed, you have to be really careful because carbon dioxide levels will go up over 2,000, which will give you cognitive disabilities and will make you dizzy and nauseous. So you have to be really careful. And in your car, you're driving the windows closed. So they're monitoring, office buildings, and now with new technology and how they seal buildings and don't open the windows and have ventilation systems, of course. But modern homes, they're better sealed, so you have to be really careful about the CO2 levels. So right now, we're keeping our doors open just a little bit to keep them low. If I close them, 2 people breathing in a room, will send those carbon dioxide levels way up. It's like the trouble the astronauts had. Yes.
How about in the newer homes where they have the vents built in? Is that adequate?
If they're venting out, yes. Okay, next, please. So masks, NIOSH approved, National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. You want to get an N95 or an N99. They look like this. This is an N99 right now. It's made by 3M. I can't really recommend anyone in particular. Yep.
There's a Toyota Corolla with a handicap sticker with the lights on.
Okay, thank you. So what's important about these masks here is that you have to have this venting. It has to be an N99 and it has to have the vent, because when you put this on, and you put it on over your face, it has to have 2 straps. So the surgical masks do not work. So this has to go over your head, and this has to come down here, and it has a little metal piece here. You still hear me? You have to pinch it so it covers, so there's no breaks in here. So unfortunately, when this vents out, it gets hot. You have to be careful you're not overheating. It gets moist, but that's what the venting is for. You have to be clean shaven to use these. So, yeah, exactly. Otherwise, you're going to create some leaks. And these will not do if you are susceptible to gases, to the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide buildup when there's fires, or any formaldehydes. These will not do that. This mask here I bought looks a little more ominous, but they do come in colors. But this one has an extra filter, and this has got activated charcoal in it. So you can put this inside this, and you get will now filter the gases and the odors out as well.
What's that called?
This one's called RZ. This one they say is up to standard for N99, but on the box it does not say approved by them. It does say it's as efficient as the N99s. And so it must have 2 straps, and you have to be careful about touching them with your hands after you use them. They only are good for 8 hours also. So what's nice about these, this one was like $39. It did come with a bunch of inside ones, but these, you can buy a dozen for like $12. They're relatively Amazon, and I don't want to promote off island, but I think if you went to the pharmacy, we go to the pharmacy and Ace Hardware and Island Lumber and tell them we want them to stock really a lot of them, and then they'll have them here for you, and you should have them on hand. And I do suggest that you actually try them out and walk around the house with them for about an hour, sometimes before the smoke comes, so you can see what it's like. And it's why I was stressing to really know how to quiet your breathing and quiet your activity levels, so that when you have them on, you're not creating a lot of gas going on in here, and you're quiet and you're breathing, because we breathe 20,000 times a day, and if you're frightened and you're running around and you jumped out to 40,000 times a day, do the math, you're making yourself more at risk.
How long are those good for?
8 hours. 8 hours. So, see, they come in colors all the way to the right. And they must have an exhale release valve. Otherwise, they get way too hot. And, for those who have eyes who are susceptible, get really red and runny, then you want to also get a mask, especially if you're going to be outside. You definitely need to protect yourself that way. Next. So we'll go on with that one. That one shouldn't be there. It's just what I should show. Go ahead. And so that's it. Oh, sorry.
How did the 95 compare to the 99?
95% removal, 99% removal. And so Neesh says 95 is good enough. Huh?
Doesn't have the valve.
Yes, they both have valves.
95.
Yes, 95 and 99 have, especially if the Neesh approved, otherwise they would approve them if they don't have a valve. If they're 99, so they must have a valve. Huh? Okay, I was just saying that the N95 and the N99 have a valve, yes, they both have valves. One does 95% of the filtering, and one does 99% filtering. Actually, you see them online, it's called N100s as well, so don't be fooled. They're just like the N99s. And they do have P100s, but those are mostly for industrial because they will do oil, they will filter oil also, but you will not be coming in contact with oil, generally speaking. So these are really easy and less expensive. Okay, any questions on this? So this place here, I just put this up to the website, smartairfilters.com. There was a guy who did a tremendous amount of research from Shanghai. And so he went through all the filters and all the measuring devices. And the ones that I showed before are the ones that he came up with that said were the most efficient. The laser A and the air visual one, two of the most important. Next. And so he also did air purifiers. And so this is just a slide to show you. And we're going to look at this here. On this left side, you see original DIY air filter. And then you see these ones that are being tested. And the lines show the effectiveness of the ones that you make yourself and the costs. And you can see that when you buy one that's really expensive, you're going to have to replace the filters a lot. Those filters are really expensive. So the one that has all the red up there, that's a $2,000 air filter, air purifier. And it costs a lot to replace them. The one on the left, which is just as effective as the $2,000 one, only costs you $40 to purchase. And you can make that. You can make them yourself at Ace and Island Number. And I'll show you another slide that shows you how to do that. Yeah. And so if you're going to buy an air purifier, they have a rating on it called the Clean Air Delivery Rate. And they have one for dust, they have one for pollen, and they have one for mold. Each one has a different rate. And some of them have activated charcoal and some don't. When you want to figure out what size to get, it has a CADR rating. You want to multiply that rating by 1.55, and that'll tell you the room size that it will do. It'll probably also say it on the box, but you want to get one that's sufficient enough for your room. And they do have whole house ones, but they're really expensive as well. Next. So they're all sizes, all shapes, all kinds, including ones for your car, which are also important. Next. So this is, this is a DIY air purifier. A fan and a filter. Next. Go back, please. We'll see it again later. So that filter is a typical furnace filter. It's one you buy for your furnace. They are rated by MERV filtering number. They go from 1 to 16. And so we'll see later, you want to get the higher rating. And you just want to strap it onto the fan and let the air come through the fan and watch the filter, watch how dirty it gets, and then see when it's time to clean it. The fan, I priced it the other day at Ace, it's $40 for a box fan, and the filters run about $15. So you're looking, there's $25 for the fan and $15 for the filter. So $40 total. We'll see another picture of it. Thanks. So this is a HEPA filter, so high efficiency particulate air, many curves in it. This will do down to 0.3 microns. This is what you need. It's the only thing that's going to actually do the job on an air purifier is a HEPA filter. Next. And activated charcoal. Activated charcoal will take out, like I said, the odors and the gases. So if it was a really bad fire, there could be a lot of carbon monoxide in the air. Generally, there won't be in general. And carbon monoxide, as you all know, if somebody puts themselves in the car and puts a hose in there, why do they die? Because the carbon monoxide replaces oxygen in the body. And so when it replaces oxygen in the body, you don't have enough oxygen to stay alive. So to be really careful about the gases. And people with asthma and COPD are very susceptible to those gases as well in the formaldehyde. Yeah?
The filter, how did the square footage of the filter
You mean, so how big a room will it do?
Is it for the room or is it for the house?
No, one for the DIY or do all of them?
With the fans?
With the fan. I would say we do a relatively small size, 200 to 300 square feet room. Next. So this is the rating. So you can use your home heating, air, ventilation, and cooling system. Don't put on the heat. You don't have air conditioning. You can run the fan, but you have, and you can put on a MERV filter that has a high efficiency rating. The danger is you have to talk to the person who installed it for you or a technician to see how much of a resistance you can put into that filter before you burn out the motor. If you put in too big a resistance in it, then it's going to stress the unit too much. So you have to get good advice about how thick a filter you can put in there. Next. So, go to the next one, see that already? Slide it. So what we can see here is these are the MERV ratings from small rating here, which will do the dust and the pollens, and 11, which will start to do more of the particulates. And then you get up to 13, and you can see that smoke is going to the higher ones. So when you want to burn smoke, you have to go for at least an 11 rating. So when you go to the store to buy them, they are rated on them. You know, when you go to the filter section, you have to know the size of your fan because the filters come in all different sizes. And just look at the rating on the box. They also have checked in ACE. They also have these filters that have also charcoal built into them. So you can get a MERV filter with charcoal already built into the filter system itself. And you can buy them on bulk online. ACE will carry them for you. It's all island number. Next. So we saw that already. I don't know what's happening in the slides. Go ahead, next, Dennis. Again, next. All right. So there was one slide missing, but I made the fan one. It was really simple to make. You just put it on there and you put a couple of straps along the side and it worked really well. The idea of the fan, though, with the MERV filter is it's not going to be used to cool you down. The volume of air that's coming through there is not like the fan that was going to normally come through. So you also want to have it on high all the time. And even the air purifiers, to really do an efficient job, they really need to be on high. Their improvements for the CADR rating is all rated based on running the fan purifier on the high setting. So, let's see the next slide, please. The back one. Again. Go back another. I don't know. So I gave you this handout. I wanted to point out, we did a very brief breathing piece. And in this handout is a class for breathing lessons. So it's an opportunity to practice. It's being offered at Hannah Barn. And it's only an hour and a half, and it's $20, and we'll do some breathing and really being able to care for your lungs and open up your lungs and teach you really how to really use your breath in a way to save your health and your well-being. And that slide, next one, Dennis, is another class that I've run. Somebody who just left is in that class. It's 5 consecutive Saturdays. It's a little more intense. It's 2 hours each time. And mostly that class is designed for people who already have breathing difficulties, like sleep apnea, anxiety, heart conditions, low respiratory conditions. And the Pateco method was designed by a doctor in Russia who did a lot of studies on breathing and came up with these five classes to really reset your breathing, your respiratory rate, and your breathing health. Your chemistry and your blood is dependent upon how you breathe. And how the blood chemistry runs is how your whole body sorts itself out in its immune system and how it takes care of yourself. So breathing is the beginning of your health. If your breathing is dysregulated in any way, it just goes right down the line and just disrupts everything else. So I'm passionate about teaching people how to breathe well, to re-regulate them. I grew up with that most of my life. I got into this because my daughter was a severe asthmatic and ended up in the hospital way too many times. I went to a lecture that was not unlike this, learned the method, went to New Zealand to learn it, and I was fortunate. I went to New Zealand. I'm just going to say this one part. Some woman, a friend of mine, after a class in movement, I'm also a movement teacher, asked me what was on my wish list. And I told her what was on my wish list was to go to New Zealand and study for a year with people who could teach me this method. And she asked me, how much did it cost me? How much did you think it would be costing? And I gave her a figure, and she wrote me a check right then and there to go to New Zealand and study this. So I feel like I was gifted this method to pass it along, and it's pretty much why I do this and why I give it away in lectures like this, as well as teach classes. So any other questions? My email address and contact information is on there. I also put on this, do you go to the next slide? You won't be able to read this, but I did a lot of research on the websites that would be useful to you. They're in the handouts. So all of it, yes.
I just want you to mention that your daughter is no longer an asthmatic.
She's no longer an asthmatic. She has not been in the hospital in many years. And I no longer have any symptoms myself. The other piece that was really important to me was I was very neurotic and very anxious for a really long time in my life. And learning how to breathe well really shifted that completely. So I'm really grateful for having learned how to breathe. And the truth was I was born not being able to breathe, and I was in the hospital for 6 weeks until I could finally breathe properly. So obviously it was a destiny in my life to be able to be teaching this work. So there you go. Well, thanks for coming tonight. Charles, thanks for